Welcome, Scorpio, to your 2021 annual reading and forecast. I'm going to use 4 cards, one for each quarter of the year. Very in-depth monthly readings, of course, are delivered to the subscribers, but you can also find the monthly readings on the playlist on my channel. And if you want to find out more about what I do, just check out the information that's in the description box. Now let's draw 4 cards, shall we, and get things underway. What's the first one here? I'm going to use this pen, I think, to point out some of the really esoteric imagery in here which affects how I read the cards, and I think you're going to love it. There's the 3 of Cups, incidentally. What do we have here? There is the 6 of Discs. I think this is shaping up to probably be your best year ever, Scorpio. Isn't that always good to know? I hope mine's like that. We shall see when I get around to doing my own. There's the Empress. And finally, what's this one here? The Chariot. Excellent. Well, come on, sit down next to me. We'll have a good close look at these cards together. I'll point out some of the really interesting imagery, and we'll see what's in store for you in 2021. Right, now I'm not going to use these playing cards for the reading. I just have them around here because I love the energy of them, and they actually help me read them. I often do them in personal readings for clients. I use them. But let's have a look at this first card here. Oh, by the way, I should just recap. The first quarter, January through March. Then we have April through to June. Then we have July through to September. And then October through to the end of December. Let's have a look at this first quarter, shall we? The Lord of Abundance. Excellent. Excellent indeed. Well, what does this have to say for you? Well, the first thing that I'll say is that the astrology of it for me is Mercury in the second decan of Cancer, the 2nd to the 11th of July. This is really good because Cancer is the most maternal of the signs, and it is well placed here in the number 3, which is to do with growth, gestation, almost like the gestation of a child within the womb of a woman. And Cancer people, of course, can communicate with feeling, conveying a sensitive, withdrawn, and thoughtful, gentle, intuitive nature, can't they? I mean, it does have to be said that sometimes they can take things a bit personally and become quite defensive, but that's by the by. What we have here for you is Mercury, which is dealing with the will and communications in Cancer, which is about nurturing. So you'll be able to express your feelings fully with people who are close to you, and that's only going to enrich your life. There will be an overflowing exchange of love, which will be, and you'll find rare, valuable feelings coming up within you, and perception, which you'll be able to be, perceptions that can be communicated intimately. I also see gatherings of people around here, and in particular, family gatherings. But let's have a look at some of the symbology, shall we, of the card itself. Now, I said that Mercury was very prominent in this card, and it is. The number associated with Mercury for me is the number 8. And here we have 8 lotuses. Actually, looking at these pomegranates as well, I'll tell you an interesting story. In the Greek mythology, and here's where the pomegranates come into play. In the Greek mythology, the goddess of agriculture, of earth, and of nature, whose name was Demeter, had a daughter, beautiful daughter, called Persephone. Now, one afternoon, Persephone was out in the fields gathering flowers, and then from the underworld came the god Hades up through a crack in the earth on his horse, and he snatched the maiden and took her back down into the underworld in order to have his wicked way with her. Now Demeter later came looking for her daughter and couldn't find her anywhere, and she was beside herself with worry and grief. And she then took it out on nature itself, destroying all crops, destroying the earth and making it barren. Now the king of the gods, Zeus, sent his messenger in the Greek mythology, Hermes, But in Roman mythology, and as we generally know him today, Mercury sent Mercury down to see Hades in the underworld and to prevail upon him to let the girl go. Whereupon Mercury turned up, said that, and Hades shrugged his shoulders and said, I suppose she can go. And as he did that, he said, but look, she hasn't eaten the whole time she's been down here out of defiance. Why don't you have this single pomegranate seed to eat? Now the catch, and she did, she ate it. Now the catch was that if anybody ate anything when they were in the underworld, they were doomed to stay there forever. Well, you can understand the uproar that caused. And Zeus sent Mercury down again and said, look, there's terrible destruction upon the face of the earth. You must let the girl come up. And so a deal was struck whereby the girl could come up above ground and be with her mother for 6 months of the year, and then she was to retire back down to the underworld for the other 6 months of the year. And after the time that she had been up and it was time for her to go back down, Demeter then fell into grief and despair. And the result of that was that we had fall and winter. And then when the girl came back up, Persephone came back, we had spring and summer. Now I want to look next at the number of these streams that are coming down here, and let me count them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 streams. Well, mystically, you see, I have the planet Venus, the planet of love and of beauty and relationship, associated with the number 7. And that symbolizes the love uniting Persephone, which can be the cups, I suppose, and Demeter, which can be represented by the sea. Now in the background, the skies are all clear, and so during this period, life is going to be good for you. The pomegranates also indicate that the riches you experience emotionally are going to come through the nurturing of friendships. Now there are 3 cups in the card, one elevated above the other, and I think that this is referring to an abundance of feelings for close friends, but for one person in particular. And this sea that's in the background, which can also be allied with Demeter, that is associated with the feminine, and the cups by their very nature are receptive, and so both reinforce and support each other. Now, I think what's also going to be the case for you during this first 3 months is that there's going to be the great birth of an idea or the setting of a goal. You may even hear of the birth of a child, I think. Certainly there'll be the sharing of success, your success with others, and life is going to be feeling good. It's a good time for you to tell others that you love them. And it's a good time to boost the morale of others. I can't tell you the karmic reward you receive by making other people feel good, particularly those people to whom a kind word or gesture is very rarely received. So enjoy your riches at this time, but be aware of their limitations and see them for what they are. Ask yourself when you're here, are there any people towards whom you have not yet outwardly expressed the love that you feel for them? Give whatever you would like to now, in full awareness of your boundless riches, and say to yourself, life now gives me everything I need to be happy. And you know, maybe that karmic reward that I spoke of is coming to you in the next quarter if you have been doing the right thing by your brothers and sisters, particularly those less fortunate than you, is because here you are getting, I think, something of a karmic reward. This is the Lord of material success. It is the moon ruling the second decan of Taurus, 1st to the 10th of the May. Now, this is good because in ordinary astrology, the moon is exalted in Taurus, which means that it's at its best, and that's a good sign. But The moon's transient nature means that success may be short-lived. For example, success is not a continuum. One has a success here, one has a success there, one has a success there, one has a success there. It's not a continuing thing. And the moon in Taurus, well, the moon likes nurturing and comfort, and Taurus likes material things, so they are well suited for bringing about material success. So I see success and generosity going both ways for you. Generosity going both ways. Paying it forward, perhaps receiving, I think, something of a financial boost. If there are those who are looking for a grant or for a scholarship, I think this is going to be very favorable during this period. And for those who have reliance on the welfare system, I think for once it's actually going to do the right thing and come through and deliver what it says it's going to. But let's have a look at some of the symbology, shall we? Because it will tell us something further. Well, there is a central rose here, and that has 49 petals. 49 is a reference to 7 multiplied by 7, or 7 times 7. 7 is the mystical number of Venus, so it's great. See, success and material success is about all the things that are going on in your life, so it's good for those things which make up your feeling good about life, which can include romance, relationships with people, work, friendships, and things like that. Venus multiplied to come up with 49. Now, the planets are in these discs here, it seems like here. Now, first of all, we have up the top here, we have Saturn, and that represents success through discipline and working step by step. Then there is Jupiter. Jupiter is talking about you being open and flexible to new opportunities. Down here we have Venus. Venus says there is success through following what is in your heart and what has meaning for you. Now I'll go over here to Mercury, and that is talking about success through good communication with yourself and with other people. Down here it looks like it is the Moon. Well, that's success through nurturing yourself and staying true to what you believe in. And finally up here there is the sign for Mars, which is talking about you putting energy consistently into the right areas of your life. Now in the background here you see 3 circles, right? 3 circles in the background. They are talking about harmony and success in your life and your material life in particular. So it's a good time for prosperity, as you will define that as. Now, it's not going to be prosperity in the way of Bill Gates or the Tata family in India, for example. But there is a moving forward in your life. There may well be the opportunity for you to become involved in a profitable adventure. It's also a reminder for you to remember the successes in your life and to build upon those. You're certainly going to have a desire for success during this period, and the advice coming from here and these planets is that you should be willing to risk, be committed, trust your intuition. Be open to your success. It is no less than a gift you can learn to accept thankfully and humbly. Real success only comes once you have learned to serve. Success under these conditions enriches all levels of your being. And ask yourself, what does success mean for you at the moment? Visualize as precisely as possible what your success looks like, and say to yourself, my self-acceptance and self-confidence are the keys to real success. Let me look at this card here, which is the Empress, and I'm going to get into the symbology of it fairly quickly because it will tell me what is coming up here. Well, the planetary attribution to this is Venus. The element is Earth. She is the daughter of the mighty ones. And here she has the crown of Isis with the waxing and waning and full moon upon it. She sits between two moons here, doesn't she? She faces the waxing moon, which represents growth, fertility, and love, and as compared to the waning moon, which is associated with letting go of things. But these moons are revolving around. I can see a bit of movement going here, and this indicates the balance of opposites in nature. Now, if we look at these blue uprights of her throne, do you see these things here? These, I think, really say to me that they are twisted and fluid, like representing her femininity because of the fluidity that you have in water, for example. Now up here, there is a dove, and here is a sparrow, and they are associated with the goddess Venus. Actually, in the vegetable kingdom, the myrtle, the rose, the apple, and the poppy, among some other things, were sacred to Venus, as in the animal world were the dove and the sparrow, as well as the swan and the swallow. Now, the orb on the cross, well, that's alchemical. I'm not going to spend any time on that. The rose and green dress, well, they're the colors of Venus, this green and rose. Those are mystically, esoterically, the colors of Venus. The bees on her dress represent her energy and vitality. Now, bee propolis as a supplement is popular for the skin and fighting infections, for example. You may not be able to make this out, but there's a little tiny domino there. There's a domino, black and white, which talks about male and female. The flower arrangement on her dress, particularly around the domino, it represents, I think, duality. The dominoes are surrounded by spiral patterns symbolizing rose petals, which represent the love which unites duality. Now, this belt that she has here, that has on it all the signs of the zodiac, and that represents her universality in the signs and hence all of creation. Love unites all spiritually. Now, it's also a symbol for physical attraction. So you are going to be very physically attractive during this period. And there is the blue lotus of Isis, symbolizing universal love. The lotus has 4 petals on it, and the number 4 has an association with Jupiter, which is about giving and generosity. And look at her arms. They're curved as if she was holding an invisible baby to her breast. The white rose, which is at the base, can you see that down here? This white rose, well, this means, I think, it represents Venus, out of which comes the waters of universal life. The waters are tinged green, which are a sign of Venus, of course. Down the bottom here, there is a fleur-de-lis symbol, which is about royalty. It started with the French, but then a lot of people have taken it on. These little fish, which are here, represent femininity. And over here is a pelican. Now, it was said in ancient times that a pelican fed its young, and you can see here, from blood which it pecked from its own heart, which shows the selflessness that she has. Now, interestingly, down here, this is can you see that? That's the Hebrew letter Daleth, which means door. So she is the portal, if you like. The Empress is the energy of the Empress is the portal through which all souls go to the other realm, and through which spirit comes into matter in this way. I think you'll be hearing about pregnancy. Certainly, I think that. I think it's also the fact that you'll be getting in touch with the beauty in your life. I think you may well be exploring the relationship that you have with your mother, or you could also be a maternal figure to somebody. But because it's sitting down here next to this Chariot card, I'm also getting very much the fact that, the men aren't left out of here, because this is a male, and it's major arcana as well. It's almost as if they're joined together. So I think there's a real chance that you could be seeking to explore a relationship with a paternal figure, or you may well be acting as a paternal figure for somebody else. So giving people counsel and advice, you'll be empathetic and caring during the period. And I think it reminds you that spirituality is expressed from the heart and not from the head. And this is also a time for you to be nurturing others, with this Empress card here and the way this pelican is nurturing the young. Very much a nurturing card, isn't it? And particularly with Venus around it. But it's also important to nurture yourself. Guard against not moving forward quickly enough with your life. This is about beauty, love, wisdom, connection between spirit and matter, inner and outer wealth. It's also about fulfilling your potential and successful business or work opportunities. Now let's have a look at the final quarter of the year, and you have another very powerful card here. This is the Chariot, or as I call it, the child of the power of the waters, the lord of the triumph of light. Yes, this is Cancer, with the moon ruling it and with Jupiter exalted. Now, Cancer here is all over the card, and we'll get to some of the symbology now, and then we can see what it says to you, because the symbology does talk. Now, of course, we have a charioteer, and first of all, we'll say this, is that he has no reins, and so he doesn't drive the chariot. His main function, it seems, is to carry this holy grail. The crab, which is on his helmet, is the zodiac sign for Cancer, and the armor which he has here is similar to the protective shell of the crab itself. Now, there are 10 stars on his armor there, and they are talking about, I mystically have that associated with the earth itself, with material reality. The sapphires, they link to gestation and form and tie in very much with this card here of the Empress. It implies that the meaning of this energy relates to practical planning of things for its manifestation in your life. Now, the visor covers his face completely, doesn't it? No man may look upon his face and live. Spiritually, this means that once we see his true identity, we will die to our current perspective of the world, which will subsequently be changed forever. And he has a meditative posture, doesn't he? Concentrating his will internally, not externally. The red chariot wheels here, they are to do with, I think, Mars, an influence of Mars that's here. And his red cloak, which is coming around here, also has a Mars influence. The white cloak that's in front of it, so it's like a double sort of, what do you call a double cloth sort of cloak? That talks about the purity of purpose. Now look at these 4 sphinxes that are down here. Now these sphinxes here is one with the face of a lion, one with the face of a man, this is the face of an eagle, and this is the face of a bull. Now how about this for something which is interesting, eh? You may have heard in the Old Testament, or the Hebrew Bible, of the book of Ezekiel. Well, in chapter 1 of that book, the prophet Ezekiel has a vision, a religious experience in which he recounts in chapter 1 of a firestorm coming up out of the desert. And 4 beings were in there who were fused, had 4 heads, and they were fused into one body. And in verse 10, chapter 1, verse 10 of Ezekiel, he said that each of them had a human face at the front. Each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right. Each of the 4 had the face of an ox on the left, and each of the 4 had the face of an eagle at the back. such were their faces. Of course, they also mean that the lion is fire, Leo, the face of the man, Aquarius, the eagle, which Ezekiel says turning back that way, is Scorpio, which is water, and the bull is earth. And they are the fixed signs of each of the respective elements. So isn't it interesting? You'll find out through all the spiritual works, Eastern and Western philosophy have reference to many of the things you see in tarot. And that thing in the middle, of course, that he's holding is the Holy Grail. Right? And this red thing here is a reference to Jupiter in there, but we've had enough of the symbology. This is talking about your victory over adversity. You may think that you have come through something of a difficult period in some areas of your life, although it looks really good from this is coming through here. So there might just be one area of your life that's sort of out of sync with the rest of it. And what you're going to do is you're going to be able to put that right. And you'll have the courage to act, which is good, because it's all very good having the idea to do something, but you need the courage to put things into place. There'll be success over previous negative patterns, a focus on self-discipline, possibly rest and contemplation. Moving towards higher goals, I think, is what's coming through here. This is really a time when you have a turning point and things that are really starting to move forward. I think the oncoming changes here promise to lead to a really positive phase of your life, so ready yourself, put your affairs in order, examine the possibilities, because I think you're going to leave a lot behind. Maybe think at the time, gee, what areas of my life are going to be changing, and are you going to be ready to ring out the old and ring in the new? Create for yourself a nurturing environment to plan your change or journey, and have this thought in mind. I am putting my life in order and preparing for the new beginning. I motivate others positively. I am responsible for what I cause. I can accomplish things well and with ease. So you can, and that's the way it is for you this year. Well, there you go, 2021 in a snapshot. It's been great fun doing that reading for you, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did providing it to you. Now, I look forward to seeing you in the monthly readings, okay? But until then, just remember one thing always, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, it's bye for now.